Thank you. Okay, so I think it should be starting soon.
It says this meeting is streaming live on YouTube.
Thank you. Okay, so I think it should be okay. Got it. Yeah, it should be it's started now. All right, let's see. Okay, hi everyone. Hi, welcome back. Welcome back. And I am here with the one and only Coach Ken. And I wanted to say thank you so much for actually joining for this evening. I was actually looking forward to our conversation for a very long time. So it's great to actually hear from you, sir.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate you having me. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it myself. I hope you're doing okay.
I have definitely been better, but nonetheless, we all have our trials and tribulations to go through, and we have
Yes.
to keep on pushing forward,
Keep
right?
on pushing forward. Let's make it work.
Is it? Yes, exactly. So, there's a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you. I do know that I do have some followers that was very excited for this meeting, and they would like to ask a couple of questions too, if you don't mind.
Oh, no, absolutely. I'm
All
good.
right, perfect. Perfect. So, one thing I wanted to talk about is one of your books that I was actually starting to read. One Decision Away. 10
Okay.
decisions you can make to transform your life. I wanted you to tell my audience what is the meaning behind the book? What was the reason why you actually read the book? Oh, sorry, wrote the book. My apologies.
I think, everything we do in life boils down to the decisions we make. And those decisions many times will catapult us to where we want to go. And a lot of those decisions will catapult us to places we don't want to go.
Mm-hmm.
But the word decisions comes from the Latin root word meaning to cut off any other options. See, what I try to teach people is when you don't make a decision on something, you're actually making a decision. You're actually cutting off options. And so when we start being proactive about cutting off choices that we don't want and focusing on the things that we do want, we will get better outcomes in our life. So that's the reason why I wrote the book. I'm like, look, these are decisions that we can make now and change our life.
Right. Yeah, it's funny because I have heard that phrase many times before, right? Like, even a answer, even no answer is an answer. They use
Sure.
that when it comes down to like politics. They use that when it comes down uh to basically even how you interact with other people, in society versus as if someone do something to antagonize you or they do something to pressure you to act, emotionally
Yes.
whether you decide to give them exactly what they want or give them another answer to let them know that you are not relevant in my life. That's a decision that we make, and we
Yes.
all know that each side causes consequences to it, right?
Absolutely.
Like you could have the consequence of, yes, you might get your little get back at that moment, but then what happens? It could lead to something bigger than what it really was. Or if you don't say anything, there's sometimes you can feel with the emotional impact of you not feeling like you stood up for yourself. So I definitely understand that concept. So how do that correlates to when it comes down to relationships? And the reason why I state that is because, in this space, there is the Black woman BWE. We have the red pill manosphere stuff. And a lot of the talk is about the consequences that people are basically are affected with today because of their past decisions, which is considered poor decisions. So I wanted you to speak a little bit about that. Like, do you think that even the decisions that you have made that could have impacted you positively or negatively, is there, I guess, in a way, is there a grace period where you can like self-correct, or is it if it's stuck in stone that something affected you, let's say a bad relationship, if it's stuck in stone that you can't, I guess, what would be the tools that you would tell your clients to move forward when you made a bad decision in a said relationship?
Um, I think the first thing that I tell people, you, let's look at decisions and accept that every decision that I make is either going to do one or two things. It is going to help me to win, get the result, or it's going to help me to learn and grow. See, a lot of us look at decisions in terms of winning and losing. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I look at decisions in terms of winning and growing. So everything
Mm-hmm.
that I've done, there are things that I have failed at. But failure is not an event. I mean, not a
Right.
person. It's not a person, it's an event. And the things that I failed at, and when I mean failed, I have not reached the desired outcome. Well, if I didn't reach the desired outcome, I could look at it as I lost. No, I look at it as what did I learn that is going to help me for, and on this journey, help me be better the next time, help me be, help me grow. And that's how I've been in business. That's how I've been able to be in business 28 years, not working for another person, because some years were leaner than others. What did I learn? And that's what I teach people out of relationships. Most people in relationships just focus on what the fuck happened.
Right.
Here's what happened. Here's what happened. Here's what happened. And I'm like, okay. See, I'd say, okay, well, what did you learn? Then they're like, I just learned that men ain't shit. I'm like, is that what you learned? Or,
No.
or did you learn that I don't communicate well? Or did you learn that I don't resolve conflict very well? Did you learn that my love language is this and I'd like to be treated this way? What did you learn? When you put it in perspective like that, now I can gather this information, use this information to move forward so that I don't make the mistake again, so that I can be enhanced for the next time, the next relationship.
I agree upon that because normally that's what we would call it in the women's sphere. We call that shadow work, right?
I've heard it
Because
said.
so within the shadow work, you learn things about yourself that you didn't know. And you also learn how you act when you're involved with another person, right? Do you
Yeah.
stay true to your boundaries and your integrity, or do you also make excuses because at the end of the day, you're thinking about what you truly want, which whether is that relationship to work or not, and your ability to quote unquote be what is the word I'm trying to say? Commendable or agreeable to for that, So like for me, I understand about learning things. Like I'm a very over analytic type of person. I over analyze and I'm highly critical about myself. But that's a part of my mechanism. If you didn't know or you're not aware, I'm sure you're not. I'm in the military. And I've been
Okay.
in the military for 16 years and I'm of an older age. I'm 40 years old. So there's a lot of things that I have learned that I have to look at because of my job. I have to look at how did we get here? How did we get to this problem? How can we break this problem by piece and and show where you messed up at? And then now we find out what is the solution. We pick a solution to fix that problem so it won't be a problem again. So that's how I tend to do that. And that can be, I would say, that could be harsh or hard when if it's you're in a relationship with someone and having that type of critical mindset and people believing that if you're in a relationship with that particular person who doesn't understand that this is how you break things down and it's not to be like you're not taking the person's feelings into consideration and stuff. You just want to be a problem solver. So I will also say like have you had any clients that probably had experienced that before where they felt that the lack of communication stemmed from one just wants to solve the issue and the other one wants to just
Oh
only be
yeah.
emotionally based?
Absolutely. I mean, and you have one person that they're really going to talk about, okay, I get it, how we are, what do we need to do to solve problems? I get it. And it's kind of like I had a couple. Woman came home talking about work, telling the guy, my boss this and coworkers, they're not, and she wanted to talk, and then he was like, well, do you want to quit? And she was like, no. Well, what she really wanted to do was talk through her emotions. Well, what he wanted to do
Mm,
was just solve the problem. Let me get you to another place where you feel different. So what's the quickest way there? and they were butting heads, but neither one of them was communicating what their needs were. Here's what I need. I need you to just listen. I don't need you to solve my problem. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then he was like, oh, okay. So I'm just a sounding board. So that way I don't have to try to solve the problem, his nature. And so once they begin understanding each other, understanding how communication works, and understanding the underlying needs of it, the relationship got better.
Mm. Okay, awesome, awesome. So there's another book that I haven't purchased yet, but I do want to purchase. It's God, I Ain't Trying to Hear All That. Can you please tell me about that? That it was a real cool cover for the book. So can you please talk about a little bit of that since I haven't
That
gotten it
that was my first book. And I
yet?
often
Okay.
tell people it's still my best book. When I was a young man then, and you know how I don't know what your spiritual beliefs are, but I believe that a lot of times God is nudging us, trying to show us something again. But we too busy with life sometimes, and we like, look, I ain't trying to hear all that right now. I just got to
Right.
do this and this. And then I always say, if we don't learn the lessons, if we don't grow, we're destined to repeat them. And
Absolutely.
and so the book was about me. I used my life to show how sometimes you repeat stuff and sometimes things happen to you that you don't understand the meaning of them until later in life. And so that's why I always say it's my best book. Of
Oh, awesome. So that's good. I think I need to hear it because the simple fact is that I'm sure you have heard of intuition, right? And
course.
for me, intuition has always have been to me because I'm spiritual. And intuition used to always be to me that is God speaking to me, right? So if something's tingling, my spider senses is tingling, I'm getting a nudge on my back, like, hey, something's about to happen or something's coming on. You need to start preparing for this, or you need to start making your exit. But the problem is, what do you do if you feel that spider sense tingling within a relationship, right? And you have the outside influence, you have your family influence, you even have your friends influence about certain things about, let's say, your relationship is, right? And like for me, for example, one time when I was in a relationship a long time ago, I was told by like a family member, like, hey, I don't like this person. I don't think this person's good for you, right?
Okay.
And I also had certain like tingling sensations in me that I'm willing to admit now that I overlooked, right? Because that's hard that we will say, oh no, we just did everything. No, I purposely overlooked. And the reason why, because I was also having a conversation with that family member who has stated to me at that time that, sometimes you could be a little too choosy, or they felt that maybe you don't really get a chance, give somebody a chance, or things of that sort, right? So I went against, I took their good counsel and said, you know what, maybe, I could have the possibility of trying to like shake myself out of something that could potentially be there. So what do you tell people who's in that situation? Because we all know that, there's so much influence and that goes on and that is involved with people's relationships or even marriages today, right? Before it used to be more quiet kept, but now it's more everybody and their mama is in everybody's business and everybody has something to say. Everybody has something to critique. There's always scrutiny that's around. So what do you tell individuals or single individuals like myself? What would you tell them to do with that situation? Would you just tell them to, especially if they don't like, if they know themselves, if they know there's certain times they could talk themselves out of a good thing, do you tell them to, hey, listen, just go ahead and initially follow what you're sensing, or do you tell them to be more logical instead of emotional and just sit back and see what is perceived to you or put forth on you?
I always say intuition, we look at it, intuition is a stimuli for curiosity. So
Mm,
if I have intuition, if something's telling me, hey, you know what? There's something going on. I don't know what it is, but the picture doesn't look right. Well, that stimulates my curiosity. I begin
right.
asking questions. I begin saying, all right, if something's not right, what is not right? What's different? Why am I feeling this? And then I become curious about where this intuition is leading me. A lot of times we just say, oh, it's intuition that you ain't the right person for me. No, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't. It just mean it could mean that I am not getting collecting the right data. Or it could mean that, hey, this person may not be in alignment with me as I want them to be. Or it could be that I need to probe deeper. But that intuition is telling me that I need to get curious about something in this
Hmm.
interaction.
Right, right, right.
That's when you
So
start probing deeper.
got it. So that makes sense. So like you're pretty much saying like um don't like set aside what your intuition is telling you, like keep that in the background, but try to figure out why is it probing you in that way, in that
Right,
sense.
because if like intuition is an
Mm-hmm.
unction towards something. All right. And I always tell people intuition says that there is something going on that is uncertain. All right.
Mm-hmm.
That is not certain because human beings want to be certain in their life. That's why we go to work every day,
Absolutely.
wake up every day. You want one of the needs of a human being is the need for certainty, a la
Correct.
security. Same thing. Certainty and security are the same thing. All right. Now, when there is uncertainty in your life, our brain wants to take us back to what's certain. And
Right.
whenever we have intuition, we feel like something is not quite certain. So that's when you get curious. That's when
Yeah,
it
I totally agree. I do definitely agree. What would you say to individuals who find themselves in relationships where there's a lot of uncertainty?
what do
Um,
you mean?
like meaning as in, let's say, for instance, uncertainty of one's attraction level, uncertainty of one's loyalty, uncertainty of one's ability to keep it honest or truthful with you. There's a lot of things that people could find uncertain within relationships, right? And then it stems off, they have those type of arguments and stuff like that, that most people will read it as insecurity. My thing is that most insecurities when it comes down into relationship, it stems off of something that like I said, it's uncertainty, uncertainty that now something has happened, a situation or event has occurred where now this person has to be weary about what happened and about your involvement in it as their mate or their partner. So the conversations that usually are had when it comes down to uncertainty is always going to be built up about emotion, because that's the only reason why you're reacting and talking about it, is because you're emotional and how that made you feel at that time. I think that usually the conversations, that's when they're always going to clash and collide, because one's feelings is not really something that you can challenge. Is either you either understand it, accept it, and just I guess in a way reassure that, hey, even though you did feel like that, I'm sorry that you feel this way, but this is actually what really has happened. What would you instruct your clients if they are feeling that they're in a relationship and they're hit with so much uncertainty and they feel that the same conversation is happening over and over and over again, and then now their significant other considers them bringing it up to them as not of bringing it up for concern. They're bringing it up because now there's this insecure, insecurity within them now. Like, what would you instruct them with that?
Well, I mean, it depends. What I would say is if this is coming up, if this anything that keeps coming up in a relationship that is not conducive to the relationship, it becomes what we call a pattern. All right.
Correct.
This pattern, if it is destructive to the relationship, it has to be interrupted. But if the
Correct.
person, if either one of the people are unwilling, that's what counseling does, what coaching does, that's what therapy does. It interrupts a pattern. But if a couple is unwilling to do the things to help interrupt the pattern, what's going to happen? Pattern's going to keep going, and they're eventually going to split up.
Right. No, I
That's just
totally agree about that. I definitely do. So there's another book. I only wanted to bring up these three books. I wanted to talk to you about it.
okay.
The book that you did with your wife, your lovely wife,
Yes.
the canon culture. Can you
Yes.
talk about that a little bit, please?
Um, I wrote this book well, my wife and I wrote it during COVID. And one day we were in it because me and my wife are business partners too. We do
Oh, that's so lovely.
Yeah, we were in a business meeting, and I said, we just talking. I said, well, why do you stay with me? I asked her that question. She was like, because I love you. Why you ask me that? I said, it's got to be deeper than love because it's over 53% divorce rate. She knows that I'm a deep thinker. She's,
Right.
oh, Lord. And I'm like, I want you to think about it for real. And then she thought about it and she said, you know what? Um, I I stayed because she started rattling off all these things. And I said, wow, because I said, you know what we've done? We have created a culture in our relationship, like companies that have cultures that people don't want to leave. Like if you work for
Mhm.
Google, they don't want to leave Google. They don't want to leave YouTube. They don't want to leave Zappos because they don't want to leave these companies because the culture is so good. Like think about it. At Google, you can take a nap at work.
Right.
Yeah, and they got childcare on site.
On site. Right.
So they have created a culture that helps people navigate their lives. And so I told her, I said, wow, we created a culture where we don't want to leave. And that's why we
Mhm.
wrote the book.
Awesome. I love
And
it.
we teach,
That's
helping
really
people
cool.
teach, helping to teach people how to create cultures in their relationship.
Yeah, I think that that's a good idea, right? You should have a culture within your household, right? That is uniquely for the two individuals that's in a relationship and that works for them, right? So, how about if there is a disagreement of what the culture should look like within said relationship or marriage? What do you teach your clients about that? Because we some people is going to have disagreements, and some people are going to be like, that doesn't really work for me, or I don't feel like that's beneficial for me. And then it's that big talk of like, sometimes you do things for the person that you love, and it's not really necessarily about you, it's about that person within the moment, for them to feel safe, for them to feel comfortable, for them to feel valuable. Like, what do you usually tend to coach your individuals who are in those type of situations?
So, good question. What I tell people, a lot of people get married and they got married because they love the other person. They did
Mm,
not get married because their core values were similar. I often tell
mm,
people this: attraction will bring you together.
right.
Core values and alignment will keep you together.
You
So
know what? I
let me,
agree.
let me okay. And here's the thing, MJ, let's say me and you, we meet. We're attracted to each other, right?
Hmm.
We don't get deep about our core values, how we see the world, what we want. We just like each other. We like being around each other. And this happens all the time. And then
Right.
then we start having sex, and then we rocking each other world, and then and then we started catching feelings. In other words,
Mm,
it's really nothing but a hormone rush. But these three hormones, the dopamine, oxytocin, and the serotonin begins to rush. We think we're in love. And then for the first couple of years, honeymoon stage, we end up getting married. But we attraction got us together. But that I always tell people it's the difference between chemistry is attraction.
right.
Compatibility is alignment, core values. Then you find out after a couple of years, you don't really like the way they chew their food. You don't really like the way they dress because you out of the
Right.
honeymoon stage. Now you start looking at the person and like, we don't have a lot in common. I
Right.
don't raise kids like that. I don't, you spend your money all the time, I'm saving money. All of a sudden, the things that really matter that are going to keep you together, you ain't never discussed. You never discussed
Mm,
because you were so enamored with the chemistry and feeling good, you know,
right.
and you never got to the core values, the compatibility part. So I tell people when they have problems, let's work, let's check and have this compatibility test. Let's see if we're in alignment and if what ways some compatibilities may, I mean, some core values may be different. Let's align with the things that we can align with. Let's see, and let's go from there. And then let's start focusing on and communicating with each other, communicating with each other in a way that the other person knows what your needs are.
You know what, that's true. So it's funny because most of the times a lot of people shy away for the interview process of when you're actually starting to talk to or date or mate with someone, right? Nobody wants to go out on a date per se that's supposed to be an environment of fun and go easy and have like a whole full-on like interview about this
Because they do
person
it wrong.
level,
Even the
right?
wording, even the wording interview, the way you said
Yeah.
it, the reason why my people get in relationships, because I say there's a difference. Do you know the difference between communication and interrogation? You're in the military. What you just
Absolutely.
said, substitute the word interview for interrogation. Nobody wants to be in an interrogation, but
Correct.
everybody wants to have a conversation.
Right. That is true.
So,
Everybody
so,
do.
so it's the way that you have conversations. So if me and you went out and we're talking, and I said, wow, you're interesting. And I say, hey, tell me one thing you learned from your mother that you just take with you today that helped you be the woman you are today. Now notice what I just asked you. That's just a conversation, but I'm still finding out if you're in
Processing.
alignment. It's conversation. You think, oh wow, that's interesting. And we're just talking. But the truth
Right.
is, I'm collecting data to determine if we are in alignment. But most people don't know how to do that unless they join my academy. Then I teach you how to do it.
There's a please join his academy. I might sign up myself. Okay.
Uh, hey, look,
I
I'm
might
good
sign
now.
up myself. Watch it there. I might sign up myself. I have another question. So, matter of fact, why don't you just tell me a little bit about how your coaching sessions go, since we were just talking about your academy. How do your one-on-one coaching sessions, how do you approach it when you meet new clients?
Um, just like collecting data. It's funny.
Just collecting data.
Ho- Hold on one second. I
Yeah,
think,
sure. No
hold
problem.
on just one second. So I thought my dog was hold on a second.
No problem. All right, so while he's getting back, I hope you guys are enjoying the show. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I have two more questions for Coach Ken, and then I'm not going to take up this successful man time anymore. And then we will get on to the after show that I promised everybody earlier. But yes, please go and check out his books. You can go to his website. The one that I just mentioned was One Decision Away, 10 Decisions You Can Make to Transform Your Life. I actually started reading that because, like I said, I'm always about improving myself, progression, becoming a better person the next day. So please check that out. Also, please go check out God, I Ain't Trying to Hear All That, and The Canon Culture. All right. Thank
Thank
you for
you,
coming
thank you.
back, Mr. Ken.
I left my dog outside by accident.
Oh,
And
okay.
he's like, "Hey, let me in." So dog,
Yo, he's like, it's too
I was
hot. Like, come on.
getting ready for this interview, and I let my dog out. And I'm like, but anyway, we're back. Thank you.
It's okay, no problem. So yeah, we were just talking about the coaching one-on-one sessions. You were just going to explain how you tend to approach it,
Yeah. So what I just do, what
situation.
I simply do is we have a conversation, and
Okay.
I know how to get there. I don't want to get too deep, but we have two. There are two parts of our brain. There's our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. Our
Correct.
conscious mind are the thoughts we're consciously aware of, but our subconscious mind is where all of our beliefs, all of our trauma, all of our feelings, everything our experiences in the subconscious mind. And so when we're
Mm-hmm.
talking, What I want to do is I ask you questions, I probe you to get into your subconscious because I want to know what you really believe, what things that you hadn't even thought about. I bring those
Right.
things out. And so when I'm coaching people, like they say, well, damn, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. And so that's how I approach it. So I can figure out who you really are, not your representative, not the person you present, but and then I can get to what's really going on with your real challenge. It's really wrong.
Oh, awesome, awesome. So, I know that maybe you probably have experiences. Have you have experienced any clients coming in from a relationship that they deemed that it was narcissistic or any
All the
forms
time.
of abuse all the time? Okay, so please explain to me, how do you help those type of clients, right? Because there is a trauma that happens if you're in any form of abuse in a relationship, whether it's emotional, financially, mentally, just even narcissistic abuse, that will make a person weary where they would never want to open up or feel guarded again because of how much they felt that they invested into that relationship and they was hurt by it. How do you help those particular type of clients?
First thing is we go back and I help them. First thing I tell them this: when, if you look under the bed, the boogeyman can't scare you. Now think
Mm-hmm.
about what I just said. I said, if you look in the closet, when we were young, they said the boogeyman, well, I don't know, maybe not in your generation, but mine. It was like the boogeyman. So you look in the closet, but we were scared. We had the covers over our head. I said, and what I tell people is number one, let's be willing to face the thing that scares us.
Right.
Because once you're willing to face the thing that scares you, you don't have it will release control over you. Then
Mm,
second stage is we reflect on what happened. We reflect on how we got here, what the person did, where the abuse was. Then and then the third stage is we help regain sense of self. We help
right.
them regain a sense of who they are because of what they lost, what all of that. And then after we get to that stage, and it's a process, then as we get
Mm.
to that stage, we look at, all right, here's what we want to do to move forward. Here are my goals, all of that. But that's the process.
Normally, how long does it normally take for your clients to get in I guess a better mental state? Because one of the biggest things that I think that affects people who are in those type of abusive relationship is that not only do they not trust people, they definitely do not trust themselves anymore or their decision making skills, right? Things that they probably pride themselves on or things that they have experienced before where they was able to handle and address it in a timely fashion. Um, how do you I guess stimulate that, or how long does it usually take? Do you see that those clients start to believe in their abilities, start to believe in their decision making skills again, which will also open them up to be able to deal with new relationships that can form?
Do you have any children?
I do. I have one son.
Okay, one son. So since you only have one son, you only have one experience. But I always say this: some children walk fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Some take longer to walk. But every time they walk and fall down, you help them get back up. So why do I say that? Because I don't put a time on it. Some people it takes longer, depending on the trauma, and some
Right.
people it takes a shorter time. So what we do, it just depends on the person, you know.
Yeah.
There, because each person, some people you got to imagine, sometimes it's 20, 30 years of
Yeah.
trauma. So
Absolutely.
that's gonna take a while. And some people
Right.
not that long, So
That's
to
true.
answer your question, it just depends.
It depends. It depends. It's a all right. So
Depends on the person.
I have one more question for you, and then I'm going to open it up for anybody that's in the chat that might want to ask you a question.
Sure.
So, what are your 5 tips that you would tell your clients if they want to start opening up searching for a relationship or making themselves available to a relationship, what would be the 5 tips that you would give your clients how to approach it, especially in this modern dating world?
Okay. That's easy. I would say number one, make your intention known. Like I want a relationship. A lot of people are scared to say I want it because what we want to do is create the energy and the momentum, big energy person. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, change your environment. Ah, get around people who want the same thing you want. Stop listening to people who don't want. Stop listening to this whole red pill, blue pill, this all these
Mm-hmm.
people out here who are telling you, who are giving you advice contrary to the thing that you want. And get in the energy of the people who want what you want. Get with somebody like a Coach Ken who's going to help you get there. I mean, who wants to get in that environment. Number three, get you a coach, get you a guide. We all don't know it all. We don't know it all. We got to get with somebody who's been proven, who's done it. Number four, do the damn work that is required. If the work means I got to get better at communication, get better at communication. Do the work that's going to help you become a better version of you. All right. If that's communication, conflict resolution, love language, attachment style, whatever it is you need. And then the fifth thing is simply this right here. Open your mind and your heart to a new way to love. You got to be willing to let go of some of the old things, and open your mind in a new way. But those would be my 5 steps.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Koken. I really do appreciate your time, really. And I know you're a busy man, so I really, really do
Oh,
appreciate it.
thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I just have, I'm gonna just put out the link for individuals who would like to join. And if they have any questions, or if you don't want to join, you can put your questions in the chat and we will just have a few more minutes with Coach Ken because he's a very busy man. And yeah, and we'll take it from there. So let's see. I put the link down there. I don't know why the underscore is not working. But if you have any questions, guys, if the link is not working, if you have any questions, please go ahead and put it in the chat and I can ask him while Coach Ken is here. If not, I am going to let this successful, intelligent Black man go and handle his business for the day. Okay?
Oh no, I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing. And you're in the military. What branch are you in?
I am in the Air Force.
Thank you for your service. How long you been
Thank
in?
you. 16 years. I got 4 more years to
Oh,
go to
oh my
retirement.
goodness. Okay, okay. And so
Yeah.
you decided to do this content as well. Um,
Yeah, it was actually started as a hobby. I have a few minutes to tell you why. If anybody has any questions, they can write it in the chat. Me joining YouTube was all about a hobby, about having conversations. I just wanted to speak to different people. Me having the experience of speaking to other people across the world because of my job, I wanted to speak to other people online. And if I can help with certain things that I would be a subject matter expert on, or if they're a subject matter expert on, it was a way for me to also continue on my learning outside of whatever I have learned in the military. So I think the last time we had a conversation, we was on a content creator's channel, Daryl Long, and we was talking about leadership. We was talking about all these things that I saw. I actually went to professional leadership school. I'm not going to tell my rank, but my rank is pretty up there. So I do have experience
why you
in
don't want to
certain
tell your
things.
rank?
No, because sorry, Coach Ken, there's a lot of trolls and individual who takes information and they don't use it for like
I get
the
it. I get it. I get it. I
they
get
don't
it.
use it for good.
No,
So
I
I
get it.
try to keep certain things to myself, but I have been forthrighting and open. Even in the situation as you know, I was in a relationship with Daryl Long that just recently has passed. And he actually is in a new relationship now, so I congratulate him and I hope him wish him and the lady is the best. But
Okay.
the pretty much, I wanted to just have conversations with different individuals from different walks of life. And also get a one-on-one experience about the things that they might have experienced, you know? And I give my, give my expertise, they give me their expertise because I never have came up here to ever seem like I'm a know-it-all. I'm not,
Oh, nobody
right?
knows
And
it all.
right,
Yeah.
and I'm human. I'm always gonna make mistakes and everything, all that. So that was the real reasons why I came up here. And then what my channel was based on, since I'm very interested in psychology. That's what we had talked about. Very interested in psychology and social and socializing and socialism when it comes down to people and how we create cultures and societies around us. I wanted to have those type of conversations about those things, so that was it. I do have one question for you. So from Kiki Star in the chat, she says, does Coach Ken believe in serial dating until finding a match?
Yes. I don't call it serial dating because dating, people look at it wrong. But here's what I believe in. When you understand my definition of what dating is, you will understand why. My dating is not about feeling good. It's not about going out to eat, not about smashing, none of that. My definition of dating is the process of collecting data to determine if this person is in alignment with you. That's what dating
Hmm.
is. When you approach it from that perspective, it's just like if you're going to buy a car or a house, you're going to visit multiple houses. The problem is that we look at dating with the idea that if I'm dating somebody, I'm having sex with them. And what I always tell people, you want to date, take the sex off the table until you become committed to a person. I'm just being real with you because then you can collect data using both your logical side of your brain, your neocortex, and your limbic side, your emotional side. When you put sex on the table early, which a lot of people do, now you negate the logical standpoint because all of a sudden your emotions involved, hormones rushing.
Mm.
And so, yeah, so to answer your question, I don't know if I like the term serial dater, but I do like dating multiple people to determine who's in alignment.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you, Kiki Star, for that
Thank you,
question.
Kiki.
So now we have Genesis. Genesis says, what are Coach Ken's advice for older women regarding dating in 2024?
Okay. Most of my clients are over 40, over 45. I just put a couple,
Okay.
one of my couples just got together. She's 60, he's 62, 63. And the advice that I give them is this. I say, it's a new way, and you got to be willing to learn new things. Don't have to compromise
Mm.
your standards. You don't have to compromise who you are. But a lot of us want to date like we used to date. Okay. And what I mean by that is we used to want the man would do all this, he would pick this up, he would plan a date and women wouldn't work. That was traditional. Truth is, modern dating is different. We do have technology. We can text, we can talk differently. We can. I just say open your mind and open your heart. Now, I always tell people who are older, I say, listen, the first thing you got to understand is this right here, is you must be willing to communicate. A lot of people don't communicate. They just expect a person to come and know that I want my door open, know that they need to wash my car and all of those things. And I say, people have different experiences. You can't assume that a person knows to open your car door. Nobody comes with a downloaded manual on how to love you. Nobody.
Right.
But we don't, he was never given a manual on how to love you. You were never given a manual on how to love him. But yet we punish people when they don't know. So my thoughts are be willing to open up to a new way to date, a new way to be in a relationship. I'm not talking about compromising your standards. I don't want you to compromise your standards, but I want you to communicate differently in this new age. And the thing is, men, just like women, they don't want to be rejected. When she's
Mm-hmm.
probably dating an older guy, you got to understand, you got to know what a man wants. You got to know how to communicate with a man. Those two things I would say, because men want peace. They want to feel good. Just like women say they want peace too. But a lot of us don't know how. Now, my last piece of advice, if you date, get you a coach, Ken, to teach you how to
You, Coach Ken. I like that. I like it. Absolutely. Absolutely.
get you a coach, Ken.
Absolutely.
Somebody who can teach you everything. Somebody who can teach you how to communicate with the man. In my academy, we do that. Somebody who can teach you your love language. How somebody who can teach you how to resolve conflict before it ever gets to the point where y'all are in an argument. I always say this: disagreements are inevitable, but arguments are optional.
You know what? That's a great statement. I actually enjoy that statement because arguments is optional. You don't have to argue if you don't
No,
want to, right?
no,
Like you said, silence is an answer too,
no, it
whether you
is.
want to admit it or not.
It
So
is.
I appreciate you. That's like pretty much all the questions that we have out there. And again, I just
Thank
want to say
you.
thank you so much for coming. I hope that we can actually speak again. I look forward to speaking
Sure.
to you again on other topics and everything like that. So I have your email and I'll reach out to you. So everyone, please, if you like, comment, and subscribe, please go over there, like, comment, and subscribe to Coach Ken's YouTube channel. Please, you can find him up. It's gonna pop up
Coach Ken
automatically.
Canyon.
Yes,
Coach
Coach
Ken
Ken
Canyon.
Cannon, please pop up and like I said, enjoy the rest of your day, sir. I
You
appreciate
do
you.
the
Thank you so much
same,
for speaking to me.
MJ. All right.
Thank you. Have a lovely day, sir.
Take care.
Take care. Bye bye. All right. So thanks again for Coach Ken coming up and dropping his jewels and his wisdom on us. I hope that everyone took out of it what they needed to take out of it. I hope that that sparked a fire in you, whether if it's something that you want to start doing or implementing into your life, into your dating life, or whatever. As always, he has one-on-one coaching sessions. He has a group session, actual academy. You can go to his website. He has many books, though outside of the 3 books that I mentioned. And we're just so fortunate that he came to speak with us today. All right. So, as I said before, that I have the rest of my session that's going to take place, but I'm not going to do it on this particular live stream. So I'm going to be back in 5 minutes. So go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, comment, make suggestions, do whatever. And then we're going to get into what the real nitty gritty is going to happen today. So